Thanks for staying with us. So the Lagos State Domestic and Sexual Violence Agency has reacted to a viral video of a boy boasting to his friends about raping a girl. In the video, the boy was seen boasting and narrating how the girl refused to have sex with him and told him she was afraid of getting pregnant. Despite the lack of consent, he detailed how he held onto the girl and forcefully penetrated her. Now, reacting to the video, the agency urged the public to report any information they have about this incident and this young man. And DSVA said specifically, trigger warning, our attention has been drawn to this video. If anyone has any information as to where this happened, kindly get in touch with us immediately. Please, our toll-free lines have been displayed. But seeing this boy boast about this rape is another reminder of why we need to discuss the boy child and how the mentality young boys have and how we've been very, let's use the word negligent in raising them right, because the boys are raised with this mentality that it is their right to subdue a young girl or penetrate her with or without her consent. And many of us need to rise up to the reality of how we need to change the mindset. Lots of young boys, not all boys are like that. Some boys are well trained, but others aren't. And this conversation about reminding ourselves what we're going to do. How do we handle teenage boys who have the hormones raging and they want to do what they feel they need to do? But society has given them the authority to do what they have to do. But who are the victims of this? The young girls. That's our conversation today. You can call us on the numbers on your screen, 081 0764 1679 09024 163440. Please tweet to us at TVC Connect. Please hashtag YourViewTVC so we can read your tweets. Let me come to you. I mean, this was a very disheartening video to watch. He was speaking with such confidence, you know.
Excited.
And the excitement of how he violently, forcefully penetrated this young girl. What are your thoughts?
You know, we were having this conversation at the conference I attended in Singapore, and it's that, and we've said it on the show several times, that the girls that we train would have to marry and live with the boys we ignored. As a society, we have so pushed female empowerment, training our girls, educating our children that are female because they've been so suppressed for a long time, and we are not paying as much attention to the boys. I'm a mother of boys, so this is very, very important for me, that the influence I'm having on my children might get polluted by this kind of people, because this boy was gisting his male friends about the fun he had raping a young girl. Wow. I'm happy that the video got out. It doesn't matter how it came out. I hope we can have a scapegoat in society. We need to have scapegoats so that people will understand the impact of making this kind of things, of doing this kind of things on their own lives. But beyond creating a scapegoat system with one person, it is that we need to pay attention to our boys. We need to start talking to them on how to treat women, how to treat themselves, love themselves enough to be able to build their emotional connection with another human being, because that is one of the biggest challenges. They resort to drugs. They are influenced by peer pressure because they don't have, young boys are not being raised to love themselves, be confident in themselves, see the value they carry, and be able to push that into the world. If we are able to do that with them from the mental space, you will not derive any pleasure from saying this kind of thing in a video, because you know that there's no fun in saying you raped and you violently violated a girl.
So for me, there are two things that have come out of this. Is that, yes, how the boy child is raised. And secondly, is giving us context on how boys see rape. You know, a lot of times when we talk about rape and we put the girl, what did she wear? What did she do? Who was she, you know? And every time people say it's not about that, especially men tend to make it look like we're just excusing the girls, you know, and many times it comes across too as them excusing boys for bad behavior. So you see from how that boy described it, and he described it with his, you know, with all confidence, and he was talking to his friends. So they're of like mind. So this is not just one solitary boy talking about this, a group of boys that think alike, and this is just one group. So imagine across Nigeria, groups of boys that think this way. They didn't feel like they were doing anything wrong. They felt like he actually felt quite empowered. So when we talk about rape, it is not about, oh, the way the girls behave. It's also about the way we have raised our boys. What do we make them feel proud of? When a boy comes home and talks about his sexual escapades, we hail them. Even parents, even the father will say, this is my boy. You know, those sort of things. We are encouraging this sort of bad behavior. So when a boy finds himself also in a situation where he's not giving consent, he remembers all the hailing, and then he also remembers he has to go home and tell, or go back to his friends and tell these stories. So I hope it now gives us context that when we tell our girls, close your legs, be careful where you go, and all those sort of things, that we also need to talk to boys to understand that consent, if you're not giving consent, don't go there. And rape is nothing to be proud of. This, you know, the poor girl, sure, and also I feel the poor boy. Because the reason I say the poor boy is he's coming from a place of lack. He doesn't have the education, he doesn't have the enlightenment, you know. And I believe that if he did that, he may not be the boy that we're seeing today. So poor him, because he has to face the consequences of his actions. And I hope that he would learn from this. And I'm happy this video is viral, because he will serve as an example and as a lesson to boys on how they should conduct themselves around girls.
You see your thoughts on this matter?
It's a very painful thing to watch and listen to. You know, for so long we have raised our girls as properties and, you know, allowed the streets to raise our boys as lords. And also some of them pick up from the experiences of their father. We've had fathers who would treat their wives as mere property. It's what I want at the time that I want it, or no deal. And then these boys see people model to them bad behavior, and society allows it. Society so long has permitted bad behavior from men. We find a way to excuse it, we find a way to allow it. You hear people saying that it's the girls that stress me. I will pay attention to the girls because it's only the girls that can bring pregnancy home. But then the boys, they will not, whatever happens, they will not be the ones bringing the pregnancy home. And we raise our boys with this sort of mindset. This is just showing us that we have failed in that area and it has to change. Also, we need to start having sexual conversations with our young adults. We can start very early from their teenage years, but we must have sexual conversations. We cannot assume that because I raise you in this environment, I'm probably a religious person, we know that it is sin, the Bible has said it is sin, you would be able to keep yourself. No, these people do not understand most of the emotions that go through them. When they are getting into that teenagehood, there's always a roller coaster of emotions, and we must be able to catch it when it's coming. We must be able to free up our conversation for them to understand that you will be turned on. You would have things running through your body. You would have, you know, you will see somebody and like somebody and want that person. And it's okay, but what do you do with that feeling? How do you handle that feeling? Do you have a conversation in that feeling? How do you channel that energy to something else? We must begin to have this conversation. It's not enough to sit down and say, they are the ones coming after. Because I've seen experiences where a boy goes out there and does anyhow, and then the parents will protect the boy and, you know, insult the girl and say, after all, you are the one that came after my son.
Came to the house.
You came to the house. You wore a very short skirt in the house. It's not enough. The boy has to be responsible on how he handles his emotion, how he channels that feeling when it comes. We cannot shy away from these conversations right now.
So let's bring it to where you're taking us to, because these things are happening. Teenagers are active.
Yeah.
Let us not pretend. Loads of teenagers are very sexually active. Now, is how do we therefore manage that activeness? How do we help them in that space? Because these ones are bragging about raping. Now, it's possible the girl may not even be a newbie. It's possible she's also active. But at that moment, she didn't want that consent. So my question is, are we stopping them from being active? Or how do we train them to be responsibly active? Or should we just say, don't do it at all?
That has not worked.
So in this case, we're talking about rape.
Yes.
So, you know, there's...
Let's be the consent.
Yes, but right now we're talking about rape. And, you know, BC mentioned that we need to talk to them, express, you know, and I don't feel that that's the problem. Because you can have these conversations, but what are the things that you imply? when you're having other conversations, there are other things that will imply that makes a boy, even no matter how much you have this conversation, that tells the boy that it's okay to forcefully take advantage of somebody. If he sits with his friends or he hears other adults...
Or his uncles.
Yes, talk about how they did it, how they forcefully got their way with someone. No matter how many times that uncle will sit and say, this is how to behave. But when you people are hailing each other, what do you hail each other on? You know, that's the thing. In what ways are you an example? It's easy to sit people down and be talking to them. With children, it's how we behave.
Yes, the modeling I talked about.
Yes.
You know, so in society, when a rape case is presented, who gets the blame? So a boy can also look at it and think, you know, even when it happens, I can get off easily. Nobody will blame me. They'll still blame the girl for being there. Why did she? All I have to do is say she tempted me. She wore a certain outfit. You know, so it's how we behave. It's our mindset concerning what we think boys' rights or
so do we have
rights are over the.
So do we have responsible adults? That's what it is.
So,
responsible adults.
there's also influence. What influences this behavior? I don't think that we talk enough about the impact of pornography on children. We live in a bubble.
Oh,
Parents like to assume their children have no idea about pornography. We don't want to think about it. But the truth is, when you talk to those children, a lot of their sexual influence is from pornography, and they are acting out what they have seen that we as adults don't want to acknowledge. Boys watch pornography more than girls do, actually, statistically, and it influences what they want to play out. So when we see somebody feel like, I would stretch a hand like this, I will stretch the leg like this, I will lift one leg up, it is, we need to talk about these things you're seeing isn't real, it is made up, it impacts on the girl's self-esteem, it impacts on how you see yourself. You can't be deriving pleasure from hurting
when you mention this thing, I just remember growing up, we used to hear all those uncles that would come with blue film. Blue film. Put in the cassette, those uncles. But now it's readily available.
It's on every
just
system.
click. Social media is right, and they all have phones. So it's an addiction.
I saw someone saying that boys would do better. I saw the guy has been putting it up. I just kept thinking, no, it's not a big deal. Why? Because I felt pornography wasn't a problem. Until I started talking to people, like I have a lot of guys around me because I do production, and I found out every one of them were indulging. And they've been indulging for years. So I'm like, does anybody around you know what you are indulging in?
They won't know.
They didn't know. So if we're not discussing about these things, because it's part of what influences. So Mariam said bragging. Bragging is a major influence. The accolades they receive when they show off their their activities in bed, and their mastery in bed is part of it.
But even also, pornography that you mentioned, they highlight those aggressive, violent situations. So those are the things that influence men to think, or little boys to think, it has to be about aggression, it has to be about violence. The music, the stars.
Everything. Social media.
When they describe the woman, how do they describe it?
A music video.
Own her.
Let me come to CBC.
So I started the conversation by talking about conversation. We cannot change anything without having a proper conversation. And conversation is not just preaching to somebody, do it this way or do it that way. Conversation is also understanding where the person is coming from, asking the right questions. What questions do you ask your children when they come back from school? Do you know the conversations they have with their friends? If you have developed an act of talking to your children when they are younger, when they can tell you silly things that don't make any meaning, it will be easier for them to discuss issues like sex. I have a 14-year-old, and we're already talking sex. Yes, we started with talking whatever that comes. She gives me the story. Somebody did me like this, somebody did. Now it's easy to just go into that sexual conversation, because I want to know at every point where her mind is. We must not run away from conversation. I also mentioned modeling. Modeling is about being the example. So it's not do what I say, but do what I do. And we know that young people always do what we do. Whatever we say, we're on our own. The outside influence at a certain age is greater than whatever influence we, the parents, can give in the home. So that's why you also have to rely on modeling. You must do what you want them to do and abstain from what you don't want them to abstain from. And also pay attention to the conversations you have around them. Pay attention to the things that sometimes, when we're watching movies and two couples are kissing and some children will hide their face. I don't like you hiding your face. Please watch it. Let's talk about it. What do you think about this? There's a level you can get that child's confidence up to, and you can have that conversation. Also,
hiding to do.
we have a lot of girls who pass mixed messages. Probably that's what they know how to. So you like something, and you start with no, 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 and then we don't hear the no again, and it goes to yes. We have seen men who say that is quite conflicting. We have seen men who brag with each other that if a lady is telling you no, keep pushing, no, she means yes. We have seen men shamed for taking the no and walking away. Why didn't you fight? We have seen men in the university back in the day, they will say, I went to his room to spend the night. He couldn't even cross pillow. And they shame the boys. So what do the boys do? Next time you come to the room, you will collect what you have come to collect. Even when you are saying no, yes, they do not listen to the no anymore. So everybody needs to pass their messages clearly and teach our boys that no is a complete sentence.
Even
understand your body. Know your body, and nobody has a right to lay hands on your body, or you have no right to lay hands on another person's body.
Right.
No is a complete sentence.
Let me take this call from Joss. Good morning. Thanks for calling.
Morning.
You're live.
Thank you. My name is John. I'm calling you
John,
from Jos.
go ahead, please.
Yes, I want to comment on this issue of the male child. Hello?
You are live. Go ahead, John.
Yes, thank you. I think the issue is failure of parenting. Because these days, most of the parents, if you see a child of 14 years, the parents are expecting the child to feed the family. When the child goes out and feeds it, hello? Oh, yes. When the child goes out and see what the society is doing, his other colleagues are involved in a lot of stuff that, to the extent that even the parents advise the child is doing the opposite of the advice because the societal value. Hello?
Continue, we can
Hello?
hear you, sir.
Okay, yes, because the societal value attaching, since when you are advising your child, you discover that you are praying, you are advising your child. The child is seeing another different thing outside. Because of the social media, the control of Uju have talked about a lot of stuff on the social media. The children are involved in pornography. How do we now control those things? So I think you have to do a lot of with the parenting.
All right. Thank you very much. So there's the issue of pornography, which we should come back to, and there's the issue of how do we reprimand kids like this? These are young boys. They're still probably early university. These are never year 4, maybe year 1. It's probably a jam bite or year something. They look very young.
Look quite young.
How do we? What kind of? You can't jail them. You can't throw them in prison.
You will not achieve the goal.
So
an adult.
rape is a crime, certainly. So he can be persecuted. But the point is that how do we help to reorientate these young boys? How do we get them to see this as a crime? Because that boy clearly doesn't see it as a crime. For him, it's just something to brag about.
Yes, yeah.
But somebody needs to let these people know that this is a crime.
Yeah, you know, our caller talked about parenting, and you know, I've come to realize that parents will give as much as they know. That's the truth. Some parents don't know. That's why they are raising the
And give what they don't have.
Yes, and then we have. So this is where we call on the society to do better. You know, our last guest that was talking about girls' club in schools. We need boys' club. There's this show that they used to try and bring boys from the hood, and a Black American show, Boys from the Hood, and teach them how to be, I think they say, is it from thugs to gentlemen? Teach them how to be gentlemen. Because on the streets, for those that grew up on the streets, the rules of the streets is different, you know, than how you should carry yourself in a decent society.
Yeah.
So we need people like that to come and just hang out with boys. Let our successful men and our successful father figures hang out with these boys and let them understand that, see, we're successful, we're cool, and we're well-behaved. Because the examples these young boys are seeing are those who are saying, you know, I can do anything and get away with it. And they feel, I want to be cool like this person. And in this person's coolness, this is what he does with women. But we want people who love them, Tony Lumelus, you know, all those sort of people, hear their own conversations about how they relate with women, how they carry themselves. So it's really about education. It's about men, older men, joining their hands together and understand that there is a problem.
Yeah.
And that they have to work together with these young boys.
Let me go on a very short break. When we come back, we'll wrap up on this. Wrapping up, let me see what time we have. Okay, I think that we're not having much time for this, but I would have loved to see. So let me just let you tell.
Yes. So I realized that children who start very early to build their self-esteem have an appreciation of their self-respect. That means that as a boy, if I like a girl and I toast the girl and the girl says no, I walk away with my head held high. I will not force her. Forcing to have your way with a girl comes from a very low self-esteem because you do not believe that by your strength and your power alone and your confidence you can get this girl. So let me use my power, my masculinity to overpower you because I can't get you with my charm. We need to teach boys how to be charming. We need to teach boys how to use their skills. We need to teach boys how to communicate. All the boys in the university who had good communication skills, girls will be falling over them.
Yeah.
They will be the ones selecting. I don't want this. I don't want to have anything to do with you. I don't have, because they exude that confidence. But you see those ones that you mistakenly enter their room and they lock the door. Those ones do not have the lyrics. Get the girls. So let us, and you cannot have this if you don't talk to your boys. If you don't know how your boys relate with friends that come around to play. If you don't know how your boys are confident in themselves. Let's teach self-esteem.
Absolutely.
It's very important to our children, girls and boys.
Last weekend, my husband went to a church program and he just went with his pastor. And when he was leaving, the head of the church called him and said that he's been watching his videos. My husband has to think we do Brown's Couch. The pastor called and said, I need you to come and talk to our teenage boys.
Exactly.
And my husband said, why does they want me to talk? I said, we need you.
Yeah, true.
You are a man, you're successful, you're good looking, people see young boys would listen to you.
Yeah.
And I said, you need to consider, because we need more men like you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Talking to
Talking
boys. And boys need more role models,
Yes,
telling them you can choose this path, and you can still be cool, choosing this right path. You don't have to see girls as objects to rape. These are things. So
Carrot and stick
we need more men coming out to
Yeah.
speak to young boys.
Carrot and stick approach. The carrot being the speaking, the education, the information. Stick approach meaning that there must be punitive measures when you do things like this. And the punitive measure must be done publicly.
Yeah.
Because you need to have that stick and carrot. So we do this softer side conversation, raising them. But you know the day you are found that you tried something like this, it is a public shame. The stick is just as strong as the carrot.
That's all I can take. But somebody just said, my mother said, good morning. Let me just take the final comment. So Mr. Femi Oladipo just says, my mother bought me a book at a time, says Sex Wise. She allowed me to read, and we talked about what I've read. I didn't get the practicality of it, though, but it was helpful. Forget what men do. I still believe women will do better jobs teaching our men self-respect. I'm enjoying the show. Well, it's a conversation worth having,
for men.
but this is from Mr. Femi Oladipo. Thank you so much for your comments. We're going to break now. We'll come back, bring in our next guest. Stay with us. Our first guest for today. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.